It's time to take off your clothes, enjoy clothes free living, and join us for Naked, Nudist, and Naturist.
Welcome to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, the show that celebrates clothes-free living for all. I'm your host, Frank Stone.
And I'm your correspondent, Lisa Monroe, and I'll be reporting on all things within the naturist community. So it's time to get naked and join us.
And enjoy clothes-free living on Naked, Nudists, and Naturists. Well, greetings and welcome into Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 54 today. We are glad that you are here to enjoy clothes-free living for all of the right reasons, and we're glad that you're here to spend this next hour with us as we wait all week for this moment. We open the door, you come in, and we enjoy this time together. The pool is out back, ready to go. The hot tub is fired up. The grill is going full blast. Fruit, vegetables off to the right. Your favorite cold drink off to the left, hot drinks inside, and whatever you brought along too. I see some of you brought some dessert, some apple pies and cakes. We appreciate that very much. So let's enjoy this time together, celebrating clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. Well, on today's show, first of all, we will have an extended segment with Lisa Monroe. A lot of people have asked for that. Time, the vicissitudes of life don't always allow for that, but guess what? Today is your day. Well over 20 minutes, almost 25 minutes, Lisa and I will spend together on today's show discussing multiple aspects of naturism, nudism, clothes-free living for all of the right reasons. So you've been asking for it, and guess what? Today is your day. Almost 25 minutes, Lisa Monroe and I will spend together enjoying the clothes-free life and talking about aspects of it. So we hope you enjoyed that segment. We will also have part two of my interview with the very terrific Philip Oak. If you will recall from last week's show, he is the author of Surprised into Freedom, The Effortless Obliteration of Lust and Body Shame. Does it really happen that way? Are you addicted to pornography? Or do you have really terrible body image issues? And then you turn to naturism and suddenly life gets better? Well, that just sounds silly, doesn't it? Okay, so I love porn. Hey, I know I'll go to the nude beach where 1,000 naked chicks are, or 1,000 naked guys. Ooh. I'll feed my addiction to the max. You know, it doesn't work out that way. We could spend the next 55 hours on this one, but when you go there, it's not sexual at all. It's just people enjoying clothes-free living for all of the right reasons, becoming who they are, and not some sexualized creature you found in a magazine or a book or a video. And the same with body image. Okay, I don't think I'm very good looking. I'm 100 pounds overweight, and you want me to take my clothes off? Are you crazy? Yes, we do. For the very same reason nobody cares. And you will begin to care less and less, and then you won't care at all. You're just you enjoy you accept you for who you are. So part two today of my interview with Philip Oak, Surprised into Freedom, The Effortless Obliteration of Lust and Body Shame. And by the way, it's also Nude Recreation Week starting on Monday. All week long, events going on, culminating next Saturday with Skinny Dipping Day. And then on next Sunday is National Nude Day. How about that? And that's where you'll be. That's where we will be. Well, encourage your friends and neighbors. Join in July 14th, 2024, a week from tomorrow. National Nude Day. How about that? We need more of those. Let's make every day National Nude Day. International Nude Day is even better. Well, you are listening to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 54 today. And as you can tell by the music that is sneaking in ever so slightly, just kind of, sort of, it is time for the great, the terrific, the over-the-top, the wonderful, the unbelievably fully clothes-free and fully smiling Lisa Monroe. Here she is, the one and only, the completely over-the-top, completely clothes-free, completely smiling, completely dancing, the one and only, our naturism correspondent, Lisa Monroe. Good morning, Lisa. How are you today?
I'm completely tired after all of that. Are you kidding me? Oh, well, no time to do the show now. I'm too tired.
You're dancing up a storm this morning. You must be in an extra good mood, or what's going on?
Oh, yes. Well, it's summer and it's hot, and it's just a good time to be alive.
Yeah, we just celebrated the 4th of July and that new naturist fiction anthology by Paul Z. Walker, Will Forrest, and Ted Bunn came out a
That
couple of days ago. So life is pretty good, isn't it?
it certainly is, and I'm anxious to get a copy of that. It sounds like it's going to be a fun read.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, very much so. Beneath Healing Skies, I think is the title.
That's what I understand.
Yeah, and people can get that wherever they get their books or download books, whatever they do.
Exactly.
Well, on today's show, I wanted to go over a couple of notes that we have received from listeners. The first one is from a gentleman from whom I did not get permission to use his name, so let's not do that. We'll just say it's from, give me a man's name, except Frank, any name beyond that.
Frank Jr. No, Randy. It's Randy.
Randy. All right,
Randy.
here's a letter from Randy, and I'll just have you read the email once you take
Okay.
it right away.
Okay. Thank you for the interview with JD from Arkansas. I'm going to Arkansas next month for a family reunion. I joked with a cousin about fast facts about Arkansas in that social nudism is legal in 49 states. The exception is the natural state of Arkansas. I was on my way to see my mother in Oklahoma City driving from North Carolina and did stop at Oak Lake Trails in Depew, Oklahoma. While there, I pulled off to take a phone call at a truck stop east of Little Rock, only to discover it was an adult themed novelty store.
Wow.
Goodness. JD does have Oak Lake Trails to the west of Depew, Oklahoma, highly recommended, and Rock Haven to the east of Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Arkansas is a beautiful state with the Ozarks in the northwest and many rivers and lakes. Perhaps the governor can sign a law making social nudity legal in the natural state of Arkansas.
The natural state of Arkansas. Keep your clothes on, though. We're not that natural around here, by golly.
Heck no.
Jeez.
I don't know if social nudism is legal in all 49 states, but Arkansas certainly does get their share of being teased because of the natural state of
Yeah.
Arkansas. So they could change that.
Yeah. Well, I think by social nudism, they mean clubs and or nude beaches. They are allowed in all the other 49
Yeah,
states. I think that's what he meant.
I think so.
I haven't checked on that for veracity, but I think that's what he meant. But none of that is allowed in Arkansas. No nude beaches, no nude clubs, but you can have porno stores. Does that make any sense at all to you, Lisa?
Not at all. Not at all. And
Okay.
I won't mention the state, but there's a state in the United States and a town within that state that it's known for a church on every corner. It's a
Mm-hmm.
wonderful thing.
Yeah.
But across from the church is usually either a bookstore selling porno books out on the shelf for kids to see,
Oh no.
or a quote unquote house of ill repute, reportedly. So
Oh,
there's a
come
lot
on.
of dichotomy in this world, in that,
Yeah.
oh no, don't do that, oh please do that, no, don't do that, oh,
Yeah.
and it's confusing to people, and it also sets up a overly, I think, anxious desire to go the other way.
Yeah. Yeah. Very much so. The folks in the UK, and I don't know if it's the entire UK or specifically England, I don't know the answer, but they have their act together. You can be nude anywhere, anytime, any place, as long as you're not lewd or sexual or inappropriate. You want to go for a walk down the street, no clothes, you can do that, and a lot of people do. Well, over here, throughout the USA, but apparently particularly in Arkansas,
Mhm.
and not the case. I don't think there's anywhere in America you can just walk down the street naked and get away with it without something happening. But apparently in Arkansas, you can't be naked anywhere other than, as JD said when he was on our show, with your spouse or with your doctor. That's it. How silly is that?
I love that they, clarified that law to the point where, and the doctor must be in this particular practice. I don't know.
Right.
There's just a lot of, I think there's a lot of fear in a lot of people, and it's like they don't know how to control themselves, so they want to control everybody else, and
Yeah.
it's just, it's sad we can't just be who we are without having to be, corralled into all of this. But
Yeah.
yeah.
You know what I just happened to think of as we're talking here? Okay, so you can be naked with your doctor. You can have all of your clothes off when you
Right.
have your doctor. So we need to find one doctor in Arkansas who's a nudist, naturist, clothes free living for all the right reasons. Say, hey, doc, Meet me and about 3,000 of my closest friends at the beach, and you'll be our doctor for the day, and we'll all be naked enjoying it. So when the police show up, say, "Oh no, he's my doctor," and we're all getting a checkup today. It's going to take him a long time. Sun will be going down at some point. Do you think that would work? I mean, legally, I think it would, but maybe not. What do you think?
Well, I think it's worth a shot. They don't have maybe they don't have enough paddy
Mm,
wagons in
yeah.
Arkansas to take that many people in. I don't know, but
Mm,
that's one way to say, "Hey, you need to change this law, people."
yeah.
That
Yeah.
would be hilarious, by the way. I like
Yeah.
that idea.
And we don't recommend anybody trying that,
No,
because if it goes south, I
no,
don't want you to say, "Well, Frank and Lisa said we
yes,
could." No, we're not saying you can. Just putting it out there for
yes,
to point out the absurdity of the law. You can be
absolutely.
naked with your doctor. Okay, 3,000 people naked on the beach. Hey, he's my doctor. What's the problem? It's just I don't know. To me, I find it ridiculous, and there are people in the world who will abuse the situation.
Yes,
If you can be naked anywhere, they'll do stuff they shouldn't do, and
yes,
we've seen and heard about this, and
exactly.
that hurts the rest of us, which is why regular naturist, nudist, clothes free living people try to police that as much as they can. Hey, get out of here, stop it. We don't ever want to see you again because you're ruining it for the rest of us. But the other 99% of us, we just want to live clothes free, right?
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that there are always going to be people who take advantage of circumstances for their own agendas. It doesn't matter whether it's naturism or it's something else. And it's just really sad, but just leave everybody alone. Let people be who they are. There's nothing for anyone to be ashamed of, but we still have to go through life as if we are ashamed. So I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous.
Yep. Sad but true. We also got another note on Spotify. We try to have a question, usually a question of the week on our Spotify page. Sometimes it's a poll. You can answer yes or no or whatever the choices are. But this was on, I believe, episode 45. We were talking about, women have to keep their tops on. Men can pretty much be topless anywhere. And this person wrote in, men can be topless pretty much anywhere. Yet, in the last decade or so, they have withdrawn from this privilege. Naturism can't progress if this aspect isn't reclaimed. I'd like to hear your input on this. Now, you and I talked about this briefly before we started. You asked me, do I think
Mhm.
it's true?
Mhm.
Hadn't really consciously thought of it, but when you asked me, I realized, I think it is true. I think fewer men today are outside with their shirts off than, say, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Any thoughts on that? I know at one time you told me your dad used to cut the grass with his shirt off,
Mhm.
which is what I always saw in my neighborhood. No man in my neighborhood, or boy if he was of age, had their shirt on when cutting grass. That was I can't even say it looked ridiculous having a shirt on cutting the grass, because I
Mhm.
never saw it. No man ever had his shirt on cutting grass. Now, for the last several decades, every man has his shirt on while cutting grass. Anything you've noticed on your end?
Well, I had the same exact thing when I was growing up, and my parents were out, taking care of the yard. If my dad was cutting the yard, or if he was trimming bushes or whatever, he was shirtless.
Yeah.
But I do remember two things. One, as he got older, but also as they moved into a different neighborhood, that wasn't probably the case as much as it happened. He might be in the backyard. If he was going to the front yard, he put on a shirt. I don't understand the reasoning,
Yeah.
but right now, I don't, unless you're on the beach, you don't really see anybody male without a shirt on
Hmm.
in any neighborhood. I did see someone washing their car the other day
Yeah.
without a shirt on.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think maybe if this has regressed somewhat, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
I hadn't thought of it at the conscious level, but
Uh-uh.
now that this listener wrote this to us and you mentioned it today or asked me, I will sometimes wash my car in the driveway. Sometimes I'll
Mhm.
just take it somewhere and do it
Right.
there or have it done depending on
Yeah.
the day or my timeline. But if I'm in the driveway washing my car and I'm totally exposed out there, it's not a
Mhm.
hidden driveway in the middle of
Right.
5,000 trees. It's just, if I'm out there, the whole world can see me. Even I have a shirt on. Now, I'm
Mhm.
a blasted naturist, nudist, clothes free person, and
Exactly.
I still put a shirt on. I must have thought at some point in my life should have a shirt on when you're in the front yard.
Mhm.
I don't know why, because I certainly didn't all the time that I was growing up until
Mhm.
the point that I
Yeah.
moved out of my parents' house in my early 20s. So I don't know. For the most part, though, you're seeing more men than ever before with shirts on, right?
Yes, and I don't even understand why. Because, there are certain things, if it's illegal and it's okay and it's hot, why the shirt? Why bother? It just gets sweaty, it gets wet, whatever,
Mm,
especially if you're doing something in the yard. But
mm,
I guess societal mores have kind of come into play, and we've all just sort of started to fall into them without even thinking of what we're doing. It's just, oh gosh, they don't have shirts on or shirts off, so I have to put a shirt on.
yeah,
Of course, I used to wash the car in a bikini on the front
yeah,
yard. So,
yeah, yeah,
what would have mattered if I'd been topless or not topless if I was in a bikini? So,
right.
yeah, I was quite a bit younger then, but
But but even a bikini or any kind
yeah,
of bathing suit, would you do that today? I'm guessing you probably would not, or would you?
probably. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
'Cause it's most of the time the cars are at the car wash. I don't know. That's a good thought.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, you don't really wash your car anymore, right? You have somebody from your staff of butlers take care of that each week, your chauffeurs.
Oh, yes. I mean, I have someone who's really specializes in washing the vehicles
That's
as
right.
much as, they have to be spit and polished and the
That's
chrome,
right.
has to gleam.
That's his one job.
The one job. That's one job. Exactly. But
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know the answer. I mean, even I, as a devoted, got to get my clothes off and keep them on for as long as I can person, even I have a shirt on when I'm out in the front yard washing the car. It makes no
It's
sense.
it's it's very, very strange when we stop to think about the fact that even as naturists, we start to pull back from some things in certain places
Yeah,
where we can be naked
yeah.
and or nearly naked, and that's just really, really strange. I like this one statement that or I don't know if it's male or female, but probably naturism can't progress if this aspect isn't reclaimed, and
Yeah, you're right.
that's a pretty profound line, I think, because how do we get past our own stumbling blocks and bring naturism to somebody else if we can't do that?
Yeah, very good point. I'm glad this listener wrote in because it's given me something to think about. And in my neighborhood, if I were to go out there and start washing the car with no shirt on, I would have to do the respectful thing, which is call EMS in advance. Say, hey guys, you're going to be getting a lot of calls to my street
I wasn't going to
because a lot of
say that, Frank, but
well, I
you
didn't mean
know,
it in a complimentary way to me. I mean
I
just the
kn-
fact, oh my gosh, there's a man in our neighborhood and we know him. He has his shirt off. I'm having a heart attack. Better call the ambulance. So just alert them ahead of time.
Lord help us, the busybodies would be busy, wouldn't
Oh,
they?
good night. You're not kidding. It just, oh, well, enough about that. I
Yeah.
did want to talk about National Nude Day is coming up. Today's July 6th. It's a week from tomorrow,
Yay.
Sunday, July 14th, celebrated around the world. And apparently, this started in New Zealand. In fact, that's what it says. And again, I got this from the internet, so we
Mhm.
know it's 100% accurate.
Absolutely.
The holiday started in New Zealand, and from there it spread to other Western countries. National Nude Day came into being when former rugby player turned television presenter Mark Ellis dared viewers to streak in front of New Zealand's former Prime Minister Helen Clark sometime at the beginning of this century. And now the holiday is celebrated in over 30 countries worldwide. Well, that whatever the reason, whatever the cause, National Nude Day is a great idea. We just need to have 365 of them a year, don't we?
We certainly do. And I want to know how, I mean, I guess in countries like New Zealand and Australia, England, where people can be naked, they can actually go out and enjoy this. I guess
Yeah.
we're going to have to all crowd to the beach.
Yeah.
Yeah, or to the club. But
Yeah.
if it's National Nude Day, we should all be out in public. So,
Yeah.
okay, beach trip.
Yeah. Yeah, it works for me. The same website puts out the health benefits of going nude. And in fact, they
Ooh.
say the health benefits of going nude are undeniable. Many studies prove that walking barefoot potentially decreases the risk of Alzheimer's as the neurons in the brain are stimulated through the bare feet. And of course, the skin is exposed to sunlight, and hence the body stores higher levels of vitamin D. Fitted clothing, which we're supposed to wear, I guess. I guess I won't be anymore when I'm washing my car, but fitted clothing restricts circulation, which is another reason to go without it.
Mhm.
Well, shoot. We need to pump this out there left and right. Get your clothes off. You're going to live longer, not get Alzheimer's. Here we go. What do you think?
If people would actually believe that,
Yeah.
if we could say to them, listen, these are true.
Yeah.
Don't think just because someone says, oh, you better put on a shirt, that you really should put on a shirt.
Yeah.
And there's just, the body needs to breathe. The skin
Yeah.
needs to breathe. In fact,
Yes.
we dispense heat. We dispense, as hot as it's been, it's better to have more skin exposed because evaporate more of the heat off. So,
Mhm.
people, it's the best thing to do. We
Yeah.
need to get the banners out there.
They have, speaking of streaking, and it's in front of the leader of New Zealand. That's how this started. But back in 1799, according to the same website, the act of streaking slash running naked publicly was first recorded. 1799, a man ran naked through London in exchange for 10 guineas. Well, that sounds like a heck of I'd run for free, but you're going
Yeah.
to give me 10 guineas. It's even better, right?
Wow. Yes. And I did not know streaking went back that far.
I guess
That's
so.
pretty cool. Ran around the shock absorbers or the grease rack. What is it? Whatever that song is that,
Yeah.
yeah. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes I think society just doesn't get it. They don't get what is really better for everybody. They just want to, restrict things and feel comfortable and think that, they're all following a norm when in effect they're doing a lot of harm to themselves and to others. I think. That's
Yeah.
just my feeling.
Yeah. And just to be clear, a guinea in London, not that I'm from the UK or from London, but my understanding is it's not a guinea pig. That
No,
was my
no, no,
first thought.
no.
You're going to run naked for 10 guinea pigs? No. It's basically equivalent to a pound, maybe a little more than a
Mhm.
pound.
Which I would
Uh,
say was a lot of money back then in the
oh, yeah.
1700s. So the guy probably thought
Yeah.
he was wealthy. He was more than willing to do it.
You give me 10 of those just for running naked? Well,
Mhm.
shoot, where do I sign up? That's pretty easy money, isn't
It certainly is. And oh well, not the way to make money around here anymore.
it? What if I offered you, I'll double the allocation. I'll offer you 20 guineas if you run naked down the street today. Any chance of that happening?
Well, we might have to negotiate a little bit more, but I
All
could be
right.
bribed.
25. 25.
That'll
How's that?
work.
Remember, of course, you and I are way too young to remember this back in the 70s.
Mhm.
That's our story. We're sticking to it. But
Yes.
streaking on college
Yeah.
campuses, huge. I know you actually went to an event and then the streaking became, people would streak through a restaurant, streak through a
Yes.
bar, and
Right.
they'd get arrested sometimes,
Right.
sometimes not.
Right.
And it finally died away. But what was your deal in college? You went to a streaking event, right?
Yes, there was. Well, the thing about it was, is at college, even when streaking wasn't the big thing, there was still streaking going on,
Mhm.
and so we'd all get word would spread across that, oh, there's going to be a group of streakers in the quadrangle or wherever they were going to be, and so everybody rushed there, and then all of a sudden these people would just zoom past, naked
Yeah.
as could
Yeah.
be. It went on for a long time. We had a lot of fun, and no one stopped it. Campus cops
Right.
didn't get involved
Right.
until one of the big football players, the star football player, decided he was going to. And he did with his helmet on. And it got in the papers.
Yeah, and we should point out streaking still goes on college
Yeah,
campuses. So we're not dating ourselves by saying it happened in the
yeah,
70s and that
yeah,
was it. No, it's
yeah.
still going on in
No,
college
no,
campuses. I know there's one, the University of Michigan, at the end of each school year, second semester of each school year, which I think is in April. I think that's when school ends for them. There's a gigantic streaking thing going on during finals exams. I'm not sure how they pull that off and still study, but they do. So it's still a tradition on some college campuses. It's part of the initiation process to get into a fraternity or a sorority. Other times they just do it for fun. And like U of M, hey, what the heck? We've had a heck of a year. We've spent 25 hours a day in labs and in the library. Let's get our clothes off and run around, which should tell you all you need to know about life.
it
I'm
should.
stressed. I've had enough.
Yeah,
My clothes are coming off. Well, why don't we just start with that? Wouldn't it be a lot better?
it certainly would. But in the case of this football player, this community got all up in arms and went, that's just horrible. We cannot have that. And campus cops came in, and that was the end of that. You caught streaking, you could even get kicked out of school.
Oh,
So,
wow.
because the good citizens of that community just thought that was awful, putting the name of the university out there on somebody with that was naked and well,
Mm.
whatever. I mean, just ridiculous.
So if he would have been streaking with no helmet on, it would have been just fine. Nobody would have complained.
I think maybe no one would have maybe noticed because the photo in the paper was from behind and they had him blurred out and everything because
Oh,
heaven
okay.
forbid you should show anything.
Yeah.
And they might have put his name in, but the fact that he had the football helmet on with obviously identifying the school, then
Mm.
everybody just went, "Oh, we can't have that. The great university cannot be disbased." I mean, go for crying out loud. But anyway, that was the
Yeah.
end of that on campus. So,
Yeah, because college kids are not known for getting naked. So on this college
oh,
campus, it was probably the first time it ever happened in the history of that
oh
school.
no, I never never did that. I never with my friends went up on the top roof of the dorm
Mm.
and
Yeah.
because we had access and you know maybe sunbathed in the nude. We never did that.
Of
Heavens,
course not.
no.
Even though I have photos in my file to refute your claim, but we'll
Oh,
save those for
okay. Oh wow,
when
I'm in
I need
trouble.
10 or 15 guineas. That's when I'll pull those photos out. Say, pay up, Lisa, pay up.
Yeah, probably I have to too, won't I? Never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah. Now, you've never actually been streaking, is that correct?
No, I have never
Yeah.
been streaking.
Neither have I. I was dared to one time, and I was on the brink of doing it.
Yeah,
Like, what the heck? Having fun. I was on
yeah.
19 or some ridiculous age. And a good friend of mine was there. He goes, you might want to think this over because if you do get caught, and it was far away from home, I was on vacation, that if you do get caught, this could have ramifications. I thought, he's probably right. But I think I can pull it off because I knew the place and just run
Yeah.
through the front door, run out the back door, card be there, we'd speed off, that'd be it.
Mhm.
But no, I deferred to his judgment and I guess my judgment at the time and didn't do it, but it would be fun. Just clothes free. Can we just get there and enjoy life? And I think the University of Michigan people have it the best. We are totally stressed. We've had enough. The clothes are coming off. But if they started with that, clothes are off, semester's over, we're not really that stressed.
Exactly.
Amazing how that
I
works.
think exams in the nude would be a whole lot
Oh,
easier.
absolutely. Gosh, absolutely.
Because I passed a chemistry building for years later and it would shake as I went past. So yeah, naked would be a whole lot better.
Oh, it always is.
Absolutely.
But with that, we need to head for the hills. Do you promise to have a great clothes-free week this coming week?
I certainly do if you do.
Absolutely. And I've noticed the last couple of weeks, including today, no baked goods. We're giving you some time off because it is summer. We don't want the kitchen to get too hot, but maybe sooner or later we'll get back on track. What do you think?
Well, maybe next week you might have a treat.
All right. Lisa Monroe, our weekly correspondent on naturism. Thank you, Lisa. Have a great clothes-free week. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Frank. You too. Bye.
Thank you. The terrific Lisa Monroe bringing multiple rays of sunshine to the studio every time she walks in. I'll have to take the other ladies to lunch to make up for that last comment because they bring rays of sunshine too, but we appreciate all that Lisa Monroe does around here. The website, the meme creation, obviously her segments with me, the terrific Lisa Monroe. Well, you are listening to Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 54 today. And by the way, I mentioned this coming week, starting Monday, July 8th, National Nude Recreation Week. Well, there's a website called nationaltoday.com, and they say how to celebrate Nude Recreation Week. They give you a few tips if you're fairly new to this. Hey, you can celebrate nude in your pool. You can celebrate nude inside your house. You can attend a nudist party. You can certainly sleep naked. Don't forget the Olympics used to be nude. Streaking is an old practice. I don't recommend that because you can get in trouble for that one. But they say being naked is freeing. It's a relief from the heat. It encourages body positivity. There we go again with that one. And of course, as I already mentioned, at the end of the week on Saturday, National Skinny Dipping Day. Lisa Monroe and I will talk about that next week. And we just mentioned a few moments ago that Sunday of next week, July 14th, is National Nude Day. Well, I think we have to have our clothes off on that day. I don't think we have a choice. You better tell your friends and neighbors, hey, July 14th, no clothes. It's National Nude Day. And hopefully it'll work out because clothes free living, for all of the right reasons, is the way to go. I don't think anybody could disagree with that statement. Well, again, you're listening to Naked Nudists and Naturists, episode 54 today. We thank you for being with us. We enjoy this time together. And now let's get to part two of my interview with a very terrific author from Missouri, Philip Oak.
Body shame was her issue that she didn't even know she had.
Mm.
And so when I tell her about, I found this wonderful thing in nature's, no, I I sat her down one morning. I made her breakfast, which I something I don't typically do. So she knew something was up, and she
Yeah,
was
right.
afraid like I was having an affair or something.
Oh, jeez.
And I sit her down like I'd like to talk. We had breakfast. We watched the Great Baking Show,
Mm.
and when it was over, I said, "Can we talk?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Oh no, what is this?" And I was nervous. I had all these notes prepared, but I
Mm.
told her I'm I'm a nudist, and her first thought was, "Duh." She knows my proclivities to be naked around, you know, um, the house, and
Yeah.
uh, as a young person, streaking, you know,
Yeah.
but she didn't know the extent that, no, I'm actually subscribed to the philosophy of naturism, which is a
Yeah.
term that she wouldn't have known. And I've got a group of online friends. And um, so when I told her all that, she got angry.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, we went out for lunch. We got ice cream cones, and she started asking me some tough questions. And when she knew I was in an online group, with men and women, with photos, like she got mad. She threw this ice cream out the window.
Oh, yeah.
Perfectly good ice cream cone.
Yeah.
But she kept studying,
Okay.
and we started reading some books and talking about this. And um, I had told her too, I think this will really help you with some of your body shame. And she's like, don't turn this around on me.
Yeah,
this is
right.
this is a you problem. But it
Yeah.
turned out to be
Yeah.
something for her too. And
Yeah.
she had never in her whole life seen herself as beautiful.
Wow.
And I know she's beautiful.
Mm.
Everyone knows she's beautiful,
Right.
but she had never seen herself that way. And so she had a lot of body shame, and this was something that uh, helped her gain that body acceptance in a way that she'd never seen before. And yeah, there was a lot more. There's almost blinders that had to come off.
Mm-hmm.
I had her do an exercise, and while I was gone at work, um, I told her to look at herself in this full body mirror
Mm-hmm.
and tell herself, I am beautiful,
Yeah.
and then take a picture and send it to
Yeah.
me.
Good. Good.
And it took her days to be able to do that. And
Mm.
I kept asking, how's the exercise going? And then finally one day she took that picture, and then she sent it to me. She wrote on the picture, I am beautiful. And I said, great, but I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I don't think you believe you.
Yeah. Right.
I could tell from your face like you don't believe it.
Yeah.
And so she tried it again the next day, and she's like, why am I doing this stupid thing again?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it clicked. And I think she said out loud, she's not one to use four-letter words, but she said, "Oh shit, he's right.
Yeah.
I am beautiful."
It's amazing. Yeah.
Took that
Absolutely.
picture, and I said, "Yes, yes, I believe you now." And you can see the difference between her face. That
Wow.
here she was in a type of bondage. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
lust was bondage for me.
Right.
Body shame was bondage for her, and naturism was a catalyst to transform our minds
Mm-hmm.
around the body and what the body means and the goodness of our bodies. And she saw herself in a different light. And then also she sees others in a different light. And
Yeah.
she can go to the public pool, or she prefers, a nudist park now.
Right, right.
because the swimsuits are terrible. But she used to always judge people and judge herself and think that she, you know, was fat and ugly. And no, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
And after that change, it changed how she viewed everyone and herself, and she isn't judging people anymore. That's the beautiful thing about naturism too. Is it's a judge-free zone,
It really is.
and people are accepted on the merit of who they are.
Yeah. Well, explain this then, because these are the two, at least to me, the two most powerful examples. Men addicted to pornography, let's say, or lust, or just checking out every woman they ever see at the grocery store, the
Mhm.
drugstore, or wherever they're walking, and women with the body shaming because they've been taught, forever since birth, you're a few pounds overweight, honey. That color doesn't look good on you. Change your hair, please. They hear this all the time. And men have some body shaming issues as well. It's not talked about a lot, but most men have it. But I think the lust thing is probably more powerful. So you tell a man, okay, I know you lust after every woman in town. I know you love to view pornography, but hey, why don't we go to this nude club where everybody's naked? And all of that will go away. Of course, the guy's going to look at you like, are you nuts? You been drinking again? What's going on here? But then they get there and the clothes come off, and maybe not instantly, although sometimes I've heard instantly, but certainly within a few moments when they see how everybody reacts. Wow, you're right. I feel free. I don't feel all tied up and bound and gagged with this lust and porno stuff. And with women, they think they're 10 pounds overweight or 50 or 1,000 or whatever. And maybe they are overweight. That really isn't the issue. But kind of like you said, they don't think they're beautiful. They don't think they're worthy of being looked at. And you say, hey, a young lady, middle aged lady, old lady, whatever, let's go to the nudist club and we'll get all your clothes off. It'll be great. And of course, she looks at you and says, are you nuts? You been drinking? What's going on here? There's no way in, thunder, I'm going to go and take my clothes off and let people see me. In fact, I want to add some clothes to my body, maybe 5 or 6 shirts and 10 pairs of pants just to hide everything. She gets there at some point, gets her clothes off, and the same reaction like, whoa, I feel great. Everybody around me seems to feel great. It's a totally different atmosphere. So, in your view, how does all of that work, and how can that possibly be true? Yet it is.
Yeah, it's so interesting, and you say mind-boggling because it's
Yeah,
so contrary to how we typically think.
yeah,
But it does work.
hmm
I think it takes a moment of bravery,
yeah,
but then in mere moments, there's a shift.
yeah,
That link between nudity and sex is broken. The body is demystified. You start seeing even beauty in say those overweight figures, that there's still symmetry there,
hmm
and um, scars too
hmm
are are not something that's ugly. They're a badge of honor. You
right,
know,
right.
they are a message that you survived something
That's a
that
good point.
that was
Yeah,
gonna do you harm. And so I long for everyone to be able to have that mind shift. My mother is one who has a single mastectomy,
hmm
and so for that, she has shame around that, and um, she thinks she's ugly. Sadly,
yeah,
it breaks my heart.
sure.
And I have told her, like, if you would just come to a nudist park with me, you sit in a hot tub with strangers, and you're all out there. You're not
Yeah,
hiding this anymore. You're embracing that you have this mastectomy. It's plain to see.
hmm
You would be validated in a way that you never have before. You would be just rallied around and loved and supported by complete strangers.
yeah, yeah. That's true.
And I've seen this before, with all sorts of different um, body things, mastectomies, and just people accept you for who you are, and all that other nonsense just vanishes. It's remarkable.
and you've seen it many times. It's happened with you. It's happened with many people I know. Can't quite put it into words other than we go back to what you said at the beginning. It's how God made us. And now
Yeah,
we're returning to how he made us. And it's amazing how that works. You do what he says, and wow, it works.
yeah. I mean, because think about it. I think in youth group at a church, one kid asked our good friend who was leading a discussion, "Well, what are we going to be wearing in heaven?"
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of
Yeah.
threw him for a loop. Like well, I don't know. He's like, the kid's like, "Are we going to be naked?" And so the
Yeah.
leader's like thinking about it. Well, I don't know. I guess we are. Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And I like to ask, what's the main fashion going to be in heaven? What's the leading brand going to be in heaven? um, all that's said in the book of Revelation, which is kind of a picture of the future, is uh, a mention of fine white linen. And Revelation is very symbolic. And so a lot of times we don't know what the symbols mean, but in this case, the symbol is defined in the very verse that we read. It says,
Right.
"And the white linen is the righteous acts of the saints."
Yeah. There you go.
So it's again clothing. If you study, I've got an article on the blog. If you search "commanded to clothe," there's an
Mm-hmm.
article. The
Okay.
only things that the Bible commands us to be clothed in are virtues, like being clothed in Christ, being
Yeah.
clothed in the righteous acts of the
Mm-hmm.
saints, and clothed in love and all these things. It never tells us that we need to wear clothes, and it doesn't forbid us
Yeah.
from being naked, and being naked is as we were created, as God intended.
Yeah. Well, if you think of the body as a house or our temple or a tent, tents get old and go away, and a house eventually gets old and falls down or gets knocked down. Our bodies get knocked down and fall apart as well. We're not taking our body to heaven, are we? We're taking our soul there. That's what goes on. So when you get to naturism, you look past the body, you see the soul. And I think that's why it's more meaningful. I'm really communicating with the person in the soul, not with somebody who looks hot on aisle 4 at the grocery store. It's a big difference.
And there may be glorified bodies. In fact, we see that in Jesus himself.
Yeah.
He
Right.
was he was naked in very key moments
Yeah.
uh, in his life. Well,
Mm.
obviously his birth,
Yeah. Yeah.
uh, his his circumcision, which was a big Jewish thing,
Yeah.
his baptism.
Hmm.
In fact, we just had at our retreat, Oak Lake Trails in Oak Lake, we had 4 baptisms as they were done
Wow.
naked. First,
Yeah.
the first 3 centuries of the church,
Yeah.
first 4 centuries, on the cross. Well, washing his disciples' feet,
Right.
he removed the towel,
That's right.
and he was humble and naked
Yeah.
like a servant in those days. On the cross, he was nude.
Yeah.
Coming out of the tomb, he left his grave clothes,
That's
and
right.
then he was mistaken for the gardener. Well, in those days, gardeners worked nude because clothing was so expensive, you didn't want to get it dirty, so
Yeah.
you
That's right.
worked naked, and that
That's right.
was just the way it is. And he was mistaken for a gardener. And so, if our Lord could be nude at times and it not be an issue, I think we'll be okay to do so as well.
I agree. We're talking to Philip Oak this morning from Missouri. He wrote a book entitled Surprised into Freedom: The Effortless Obliteration of Lust and Body Shame. He also runs the blog website Aching for Eden. And Philip, I want to dive into a little more about this Oak Lake Trails thing that you did. It sounds pretty amazing. But before we do, tell our listeners how they can find your book, how they can find your blog, and get in touch with you, and anything you want to put out there.
Yeah, so you can go to achingforeden.com, and there's a lot of searchable content there. Um, you can click on our book and learn about Surprise into Freedom. It's available in paperback, Kindle, and even Audible. And it's read by myself there, and my wife as well reads her chapter. There's a chapter devoted to women, and so she reads a couple sections there. Would love for you to check it out.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we had this gathering just this last weekend of various Christian men. There were
Hmm.
about 20 of us, and one of the young men that uh, got baptized for the first time, and he met my good friend RB Mears at Oak Lake last week,
Okay.
and
Okay.
it was his very first socially nude um, outing. He
Okay.
just decided to try it, and he met RB, and they got to talking. And so RB told him about, hey, next week we've got a bunch of men coming for a retreat, and he invited him, and he came, and then he was baptized.
Wow. Wow.
So it was really neat. We just had good times of hanging out, a lot of wonderful, deep conversations in the hot tub and around the grounds, and camping and eating together. And then we kind of took over. Oak Lake Trails has a chapel service every Sunday, so we took over and ran the program. We did music. I lead worship, and um, whenever we do Christian retreats, we've got one in Star Ranch in Texas coming up in July.
Okay.
Not just for men, but for families. I
Hmm.
I like to lead the Nakedist created band, and
Yeah. All
so there
right.
are always different members of the band, but we always get together and sing songs together. And perhaps one of uh, Christian Nature's favorite hymn is the line that says, "Dressed in His righteousness alone,
Yeah.
faultless to stand before the throne.
Yeah.
On
That's
Christ the
great.
solid rock I stand,
Uh-huh. There you go.
dressed in His righteousness alone."
That's right. Well, that's amazing. And are there plans to do that again, either later this year or next year, back at Oak Lake, or is that what do you think?
I think so. It was such a success, and the organizer of this weekend, he just threw a date on the calendar in our group online, and didn't know if two, three, five, six people would join, but 20 from all
Yeah.
around the world just came, and was a sweet time. And so sadly, today's a Monday, and back to reality, back to work,
Yeah.
and back to the textile world.
Well, yeah, that's the downside of it. Do you think we'll, in our lifetimes, my guess is we'll never get to full naturism, 24/7, 365. But do you think we'll make some progress that, okay, it's allowed, if you're in your backyard or even in your front yard cutting the grass, as long as you're not lewd or sexual, yeah, it's fine. Do you think we'll ever get to that in the United States or basically worldwide?
Well, I can certainly hope. I'm I'm not so optimistic about that. I would love that. I would love a utopia, but I know that's not realistic. So I just want to do my part. But as I'm sitting there in Oak Lake this weekend, I'm just having the thought, I wish everyone I know and love could just be instantly transported here to see, and to just observe, and to have it smash all of their thinking and those knee-jerk reactions that one
Yeah.
has, and just to experience it for themselves.
Yeah.
It would change so much. And
Yeah.
I've got I've got tattooed here on my body, if you can see there,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Imago Dei. That's Latin for image of God.
Okay.
And if we could see the image of God in everyone, all the ills of society would start to deteriorate. If
Oh, big time.
everybody would see
Immediately. Yeah.
everyone as that, I mean, there goes racism, there
Hmm.
goes violence, there goes abuse, there goes starting with lust and all the
Yeah.
things, jealousy, judgments. Um, all we can do is our part, and
Right.
to spread the news like you're doing on this podcast,
Yeah.
and we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I wish all those that I know and love could could see it, because seeing is believing,
Yeah.
and you've got to get beyond a surface level understanding. If you want to learn how to fly a plane, you can't just get that from book knowledge.
Right.
You gotta have some time in the plane,
Yeah.
doing the reps and having another guide who knows how to fly that plane
Yeah.
showing you. And
Yeah.
and this is easy. This is, grab someone, take them. A lot of times the first day is free at these nudist
Mhm.
naturist parks. And what's to lose? There's not much to lose, but there's a whole lot to gain.
Yeah. And unlike flying a plane, I've never seen a naturist crash into a mountain, or go down. they, they
Right.
just enjoy life for all. That's why we call it clothes free living for all the right reasons. Because one of the issues that I've seen, I'm sure you've seen it too in media, for example,
Mhm.
you and I could get together and invite people, men and women. Let's just say men and women, 50 people, 25 men, 25 women. We're going to gather in a park and have a naturist, nudist afternoon, a big picnic. Okay. You know as well as I do, the chances are really good that some knucklehead will show up and try to sexualize the whole thing. Even might not even be a naturist, might just be a guy from 30 feet away. Hey, check out the chick over there,
Mhm.
totally ruining the situation. Or they might be much more lewd. That's the only setback I see of the question I asked you. Can we ever get to the point where we accept it always? I'm not sure that we can because of a knucklehead or two who will try to sexualize, and then whoever's in charge, okay, that's it. No more naturist picnics here. See ya. Bye. What do you think?
Yeah, because I mean, even in a naturist park, you could have kind of people like that, but there's an etiquette and there's the
Right.
ethical social naturism. There's rules, and you know you could get kicked out for doing that. In
Yeah.
society, it's all goes. There aren't
Yeah.
those rules. But for people who have the mindset right, there's an instant connection and there's some trust. In fact, our very first co-ed socially nude foray was actually in Florida, your stay, right?
Yeah.
Um, for a Christian marriage retreat. So
Yeah.
with five other couples in an Airbnb. I mean, talk about not putting your toe in, but jumping in to the deep end.
That's right.
And I'll never forget some dear friends now that we met for the first time there just gave us a hug and said instant family.
Wow.
And and on our way there, we stayed at the home of a naturist friend that we only knew online. And so it's like, how do you have that trust? Okay, I'm staying in the home of someone that I've never met in person.
Right.
And I did that just a few weeks ago too. Stayed in the home of a friend for the first time. We've had people come and stay with us, and that you just don't get that in the world.
No, no, not at all.
That level of trust and that level of vulnerability, I think
Yeah.
shedding and removing our clothes
Yeah.
um, helps us get deeper quicker.
Yes.
It's an
Like almost
accelerant.
immediately. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I've seen when people have done that. It's like immediately. It's not 2 or 3 days later. It's immediately. There's a connection that's stronger than anything they've ever had before.
Hmm.
And whether they can put it into words or not, they feel it and they know it, and they can't wait to go back again. And again, that's hard to tell people in the textile world who have never tried this before. We talked about it earlier, men lusting or body image issues, and women body image issues. Yeah, take all your clothes off and everything will be great. You guys are crazy. But then they do. It's like, wow, why did, how many times have you heard somebody say, I wish I would have known this sooner. I wish I would have tried this earlier in life. Probably what, a couple zillion
Well,
at least.
I would have to say that myself.
Yeah,
In
right.
fact,
Exactly.
I was just talking at Oak Lake Trails with a couple that was there, and they live at Sandpiper down in South Texas,
Okay.
and we talked about uh, the nude beach portion of at South Padre Island. I used to live down there for
Wow.
many years before I embraced naturism, and I'm like, oh, 6.5 years. I wish I could get that time back and live where I'm 45 minutes from. from a beach that I could go au natural.
There you go.
Uh, we hardly went to the beach when we lived there because
That's true.
you get all sandy and the suits are soggy. And if I could have the time back, I
Uh,
would.
yeah. Well, there's another issue we just solved. No more sandy suits. You just dive in,
Yes.
you get wet, get out, dry off, and you move on with life. It's so simple, isn't
Yeah, life is good that way.
it? Yeah, you got that
It's almost like it was intended to be that way.
right. There you go. Takes us right
The
back to our beginning premise. It's
the
exactly
swimming
right.
costume, as it was called, it's got to be one
Yeah.
of the silliest inventions in mankind's history. Before that, swimming meant you get naked and you get in the water.
Oh, exactly.
Simple as
Exactly.
that.
A friend of mine is a professional comedian. He has this one joke in his routine where he talks about women in bikinis at the beach and thong bikinis. Like you can basically see everything, but not quite. They have
Hmm.
selected areas covered up. And he said it's really great how the men react because they're very respectful of these women and they only stare at the parts that are covered up. Like, well, there you go. That's exactly the problem. If they
Yes.
took those suits off, it'd be, whoa, look at her. Yeah, anyway, what's for lunch? Now that I've
Yeah.
seen her naked, let's just move on and get to know her.
It draws more attention. We've got some good friends who like to go to St. Martin.
Okay.
And so yeah, that's on our to-do list
Uh,
someday. But there's a nude beach, and then there's the textile beach. And um, she has talked about how when she's on the textile beach, she calls it the dark side,
yeah.
and then the nude
Exactly.
side is the light side, because in the textile, you can almost feel the sexual charge in the
Mm-hmm.
air, in the atmosphere. You
Mm-hmm.
go to the nude side, it's free, it's happy,
Yeah. You can feel it.
everybody's smiling, you can feel the difference.
That's right. Amazingly true, and that's why we do this show is to promote it and get more people to try it and get rid of the junk in their lives. We've been talking to Philip Oak from Missouri. He's written the book Surprised into Freedom: The Effortless Obliteration of Lust and Body Shame. Plus he runs a blog, a website, Aching for Eden. And Philip Oak, before we go, tell our listeners again how they can find your book and get it today, and also how they can find your blog.
Yes, it's achingforeden.com. And the book is linked there, our book. Of course, it's on Amazon, so you can just search Surprised into Freedom, and it should come up. It's in paperback, Kindle, Audible,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
whatever your preference is. I like Kindle reading because you can search and you can highlight.
Yeah.
But of course, I like the audio version because you can listen like I do to your show while driving.
There you go. Or you can cut the grass in the nude while listening to your book.
Even better.
Double deal there. And then the name of your blog is what again?
Aching for Eden.
All right. Well, keep up the great work, Philip Oak. Thanks for coming back on. We had you for a shorter interview back in January. Got you for the longer interview today. And if anything, or not if, but when something else pops up, another retreat, another big news item in your life, give us a buzz and we'll get you back on.
Sounds good. Will do. Thanks so much.
All right. You bet. Philip Oak from Missouri. Go out there and have a great close-free day. We'll talk again soon.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. The very terrific Philip Oak. Check out his book, Surprised into Freedom, and check out his website, achingforeden.com. And we thank Philip Oak for all of his time on last week's show as well as today's show. Well, in the next 2 weeks, episodes 55 and 56, our special guest will be Dava Adams. She was on for a short interview back in January. She identifies as a black naturist and asks the question, why is naturism so white? So we're going to spend a full hour on that topic on episodes 55 and 56. Our special guest, Dava Adams. Well, thank you for listening today to Naked, Nudists, and Naturists, episode 54 today. We give you a brand new show every Saturday morning at 6 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time. Continue to join us. Check us out on our website, nakednudistandnaturist.com, Spotify, Google, Amazon/Audible, Apple Podcasts, and also on Twitter. You can write us anywhere, anytime, any place. And we thank you for being with us today. Plan to join us for every single one of our shows here and have your clothes off when you're listening. We have our clothes off when we're broadcasting, enjoying the naturist life.
We celebrate clothes-free living for all. Remember to enjoy being naked and join us again for Naked Nudists and Naturists.
We drop a brand new show every Saturday morning, so come back and join us. Have your clothes off when you do for Naked Nudists and Naturists. Have a great clothes-free day.